Well, what's happening? And welcome back to another episode of Talking Tactics. This is the last episode this week for the massive UFC 280 card, and I wanted to wait till Friday to make sure everybody had weighed in, and now that everyone has and the fight's official, we're going to be breaking down Charles Oliveira against Islam Makhachev. This is a fight I am super excited for, another razor close one on this card, and one that I really can't pick one who's going to win either. So let's get into it and let's start this breakdown. So we'll just put up the tail of the tape here and have a wee quick look at this. So we've got Oliveira with a record of 33-8-1 and Islam with a record of 22-1. They're both on a bit of a tear. Islam is on a 10-fight win streak and Oliveira is on an 11-fight win streak. This is the first time in UFC history there's ever been two opponents facing each other on such a win streak. So this is why this fight is so exciting as well. Both guys are 5'10". Oliveira's 33, Makhachev's 31. Oliveira is going to have around about 4-inch reach advantage, 74-inch reach he has, and Makhachev has 70.5-inch reach. Orthodox stance for Oliveira, and he doesn't really ever switch it up, and Southpaw stance for Makhachev, and he doesn't really switch his up either. So let's get into the technical side of things and break things down a little bit further. I know that this title is vacant and because of a weight issue down to half a pound, but realistically, we know who the champion of the division is.
The champion has a name, and it's Charles Oliveira.
So we're going to start with him. He's on an 11-fight win streak, like I said, and 10 of those wins are coming from finishes, and 7 of those are coming from submissions, with 8 performances and 8 bonuses in there as well. This guy is super, super dangerous. He's the finish and the submission king of the UFC with 19 finishes and 16 submissions. He's been around forever, and these stats just show how dangerous he is. He has the ability to finish you anywhere on the ground with the neck or with limbs or even against the cage, which we've seen him do a few times, and even very recently or against Dustin Poirier where he got the standing rear naked choke. If he even gets a sniff of your neck, he's probably going to take you out. So Islam's going to have to be very careful in how he takes this fight to the floor and whenever he's down there with him. Even off his back, he's very comfortable. He'll pull guard if he has to, and we've seen him, if he gets hurt, he'll just drop back into guard. And because most of his opponents fear his ground game, they're not willing to follow him, and that usually gives him a chance to recover. Another thing I like about him as well is because he's always hunting that submission. Even if he hurts you and drops you, he's diving straight into submission mode. He's not looking to jump all over you with crazy ground and pound. He jumps straight into his submissions, like we've seen against Justin Gaethje. Now let's talk about Oliveira's striking. I do believe Oliveira has the striking advantage in this fight. His striking is definitely better developed, and I think that is because he is developing his striking to get better at striking, where Islam's striking, although it is improving, is based around him pressing people to the cage or him getting the takedown. Oliveira starts with a crazy pace and he puts the pressure on you right away. He sort of goes in recklessly because he knows that it doesn't matter if he's taken down. He's almost forcing you into a war to try and make you shoot on him, or he forces you into a war where he ends up hurting you because he can hit really hard and he ends up making you shoot whenever you didn't really want to, and this is whenever he's going to get the neck, like we've seen him do against Kevin Lee. He's absolutely not afraid to be taken down, and like I said, he'll even pull guard. So when he's flying into the pocket, into these exchanges, he's almost welcoming you to try and shoot. He has lethal teeps, great knees, especially in the clinch, great fakes, always walking forward, marching with that lead knee coming up, which is great for defending leg kicks, good for almost stopping people coming underneath you whenever that knee's coming up and down. Uses his teeps very well. He'll jump and switch with his teeps, and like I said, when he's in the clinch, he has really good knees. He landed some real good ones on Justin Gaethje, and they're the type of shots that will try and maybe take the gas tank away from Islam if he's able to land those in the clinch, because I do believe that Islam is going to push this fight into the clinch a little bit more rather than trying to take him down out in the open. We also know that Oliveira hits really hard. He knocked out Chandler and he dropped and hurt Gaethje really early, and Gaethje said that it's one of the hardest he's ever been hit in any of his fights, and he's been in some fights against some real hard hitters. He actually says that after the first shot hit him, it felt like he had stuck his tongue against the battery. I do believe that Charles is going to push the pace straight away here against Islam. I think he knows his best bet is probably to try and take Islam out on the feet. He's been saying it in the interviews, he's been saying it in the press conference. I think he's going to come at Islam right away with these punches and teeps and knees and try and take him out. Now let's get into Islam. So we know this style, similar to Khabib and this Dagestani style. They're going to press you, get you against the cage, take you down, and then smother you with that unbelievable top pressure and heavy ground and pound, and then either force you to turn your back and then get the submission, or force you out of there with the ground and pound and just break you mentally. I do think that Islam's going to push the fight more against the cage, like I said, and force more into the clinch and start working his body lock sequences to get the takedown, working his trips. With that Sambo background, we know he has lethal trips. We've seen him use them against Sarukian and against other people as well. His trips are unreal, and I think that that's going to be the kind of takedowns he's going to need to use against Oliveira, because shooting in on Oliveira, especially out in the open, if he sprawls on you, he can get to the back, he can get to the neck. So I do think that the best bet for Islam to take this fight to the ground safely is to push Oliveira to the cage. On the fence is where I feel like Islam has his best chance of winning this fight, where he can limit the movement to Charles and wear him down. Also on the ground, where he can start to lace those legs up and sit on top of them, like we've seen he done against Sarukian and like we've seen Khabib do many times. Keeping him pressed against the cage and his head pressed against the cage, especially in guard, is going to limit the movement of Oliveira, limit those submission threats, and be able to allow Islam to let the hands go a little bit more. We've seen how heavy his hips are, and he's planning on, I think, just getting him against the cage, lacing the legs up, sitting heavy on the legs, and just wearing heavy on Oliveira. And a lot of the time when they're in these positions, they end up exposing the back, and we could end up seeing Islam get the finish as well by submission. We all know that it's only a matter of time, I think, before Islam gets him down. I know that he's going to be taking him down, but when he gets him on the ground, he will really have to limit the movement. Charles is always inverting, coming in for legs, attacking submissions, trying to off-balance you with sweeps, and his jiu-jitsu is so tricky. So Islam is going to have to be careful when he's on the ground, and we have seen the likes of Felder have success against Oliveira when he presses him up against the cage, especially in guard, and he wasn't able to move as much for submissions. And even Kevin Lee at the end, I think it was the first round, had a little bit of success, only for a couple of seconds, but when he had Oliveira pressed against the cage, the submission threat wasn't as great, and he was able to let the ground and pound go. And this is where these Dagestanis are great. They're great at getting you to the cage, trapping your hips, trapping your legs, keeping your wrists trapped, and letting the hands go. With those heavy hips, it frees up the hands, so they're able to trap your wrist, they're able to punch you, hold you down, or claim you and look for the neck. The thing is, we have seen Islam threaten with submissions before. Against Nick Lance, he was in the guillotine a couple of times. We've seen him threaten with leg locks, and against Moises, we've seen Zarukian get the neck a couple of times too. These guys haven't got the level of jiu-jitsu, and definitely not the level of choking skills that Charlie Olives has, so he will really need to be careful and cannot be in these positions against him, because the finish could be there. Even when he's rolling for leg locks to turn and try and get out of them, that's just going to give Oliveira a chance to claim him. He is so tricky, and his jiu-jitsu is so good that you can really not give him a chance to get near your back. All you hear about when people fight these Dagestanis is about how strong they are as well. They have just had a lifetime of combat from wrestling, sambo, and then now in the MMA, that they just feel insanely strong in these positions. And I do think that with Islam's gas tank and his strength, and in these positions against the cage, that he will be able to wear Oliveira down, and Oliveira will probably have to get the finish quite early. Islam's striking is definitely improving, but like I said, it is based more around getting the fight to the floor, staying safe on the feet, and getting the fight, getting in on the legs. He does not want to be starting too much with Oliveira. Oliveira is definitely a more dangerous striker, and that's where he has his best chance, with the level of wrestling that Islam has and that great equalizer, that if the striking's getting too hot and heavy, that he will be able to take the fight to the floor. I think he'll be too disciplined to get dragged into a war like we have seen other fighters do against Oliveira, and I think he will stick to the plan. The only knock on Islam is that he has not faced that upper echelon of the division. I know some of the guys he has faced are high level, but he hasn't faced the likes of the Poiriers, the Gaethjes, and that's exactly who Oliveira's been going against and taking them out. The mad thing is that they're both feared for their grappling, but in slightly different ways. Oliveira will make strikers strike with him. He'll force them into wars, and they don't want to shoot on him because they're so afraid of his jiu-jitsu, but they will strike with him, and then they end up forced into a war where they end up shooting and they didn't want to. Whereas against Islam, he'll make strikers afraid to pull the trigger because they're afraid of overcommitting and him getting on top of them. So they're both feared for different reasons, but they're also facing different styles for that reason as well. And I think Oliveira is going to be one of the first people to bring it to Makhachev, but I also think Makhachev isn't going to waste any time in taking the fight to the floor because he isn't afraid to be there with Oliveira. So we'll just pull up here and have a quick look at the style stats. So we've got an average fight time of 6 minutes and 55 seconds for Oliveira. So with all those fights that he's had, that tells you that he is a serious finisher, and that if he isn't getting the finish, he often gets finished as well. He doesn't see the final bell that often. Makhachev is similar there as well, with 9 minutes and 11, although he hasn't had that much 5-round experience, and he has a few more decisions on his record. 21 wins by sub for Oliveira, which is insane. 10 for Makhachev. 9 wins by TKO KO for Oliveira, and 3 for Makhachev. Again, both guys are still developing that striking, but Oliveira would be more dangerous there. Wins by decision 3 and 9. Losses by sub 3 for Oliveira, and we've never seen Makhachev submitted. Losses by TKO KO 4 for Oliveira and 1 for Makhachev. So like I said, we have seen Oliveira getting finished before. He has that kill or be killed style. Significant strikes per minute 3.53 and 5.26. So it looks like there's a bigger output for Makhachev, but remember, a lot of those strikes are going to be coming on the ground. Takedown average 2.46 and 3.41. So it shows you that both guys are the grapplers and they want to be taking the fight to the floor, and Makhachev's going to be pushing that pace right away. In terms of my prediction, how do I see the fight going? This is so hard to pick, and to be honest, I'm not confident in either side of my pick, and I really do believe that either guy could get this done. The only thing that I would be confident in is that I don't think it's going to go all the way. In the first 11 minutes, I think it could probably be Oliveira, but if it goes past that into the next 11 minutes of the fight, I think we're probably looking like an Islam finish. Maybe Oliveira could drag him into a war, or Islam could drag him into deep waters. It really depends. I do think Oliveira has the skill and the power to be able to get it done on the feet, but I do think that Makhachev has the ability to nullify the submissions of Oliveira and get it done on the ground as well. So it's definitely an interesting fight. If you were holding a gun to my head and saying that I had to pick someone, I would probably go for Islam with a late finish. I don't think it's going to happen too early, but I think it's going to be a really, really exciting fight. So that's it for another episode of Talking Tactics. I really hope you've enjoyed the episodes this week. I've done breakdowns on the top 3 fights on this massive UFC 280 card, which I'm so excited for tomorrow. The best news is that it's on early, so I'm going to have to not sit up until 4 in the morning to watch it. So remember, if you've enjoyed the episodes this week, I hope you've liked them, and if you want to see more episodes and different MMA content coming in the future, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.